Hello, I'm Dr. Robert Sterling, and I've dedicated my career to understanding and supporting the health and well being of older adults. I've spent years observing what truly contributes to a fulfilling life as we navigate our later decades. It's not always about medical treatments, often it's about how we choose to live each day. Today, I want to share some insights that resonate deeply with the seniors I work with. Insights about finding peace and richness in a world that often feels too fast and too focused on the wrong things. In a world where time seems to move faster and faster, where the pressure to consume is constant, there is indeed a different path we can choose. It's called the slow life. This idea might sound simple, but its power is profound, especially for those of us who have seen decades of change and perhaps now wish for something quieter, more meaningful. As we age, our perspective shifts, and the wisdom we've gained allows us to see through the noise and focus on what truly matters. Reevaluating consumerism in later years. As we grow older, it becomes incredibly clear that material things often carry far less weight than we once thought. In our youth, society pounded into us the idea that more possessions meant more success. We were constantly bombarded with advertisements, and the message was always the same: spend more, own more, be more. It was easy to believe that having the latest gadget, the biggest house, or the newest car was the key to a happy, successful life. But now, with the wisdom that comes from years of living through different eras, many of us recognize that true lasting happiness doesn't actually come from what we own. It comes from within, from our connections, and from our experiences. The very fabric of modern society is in many ways built on consumerism. It's designed to make us spend. It subtly tells us that we are only really part of the system if we buy into it quite literally. The latest smartphone, the fanciest SUV, the most luxurious cruise, these are sold to us as the ultimate symbols of a good life, the keys to fulfillment. Yet the truth is, consuming doesn't fill the deeper needs of our souls. We live in a world where everything feels monetized, where every experience seems to have a price tag. And for those of us who remember a time when life moved at a much slower pace before the internet and constant online shopping, it can be truly overwhelming. But there's empowering news. We don't have to buy into this relentless race anymore. In fact, we've reached an age where it is perfectly acceptable, even wise, to opt out. To just stop, take a deep breath, and choose to live slower. Clearing out clutter, a personal journey shared. Let me share a story that illustrates this point beautifully. I know someone, let's call her Martha, who after many years in a large suburban house, decided it was time for a change. Her kids were grown, and the house felt overwhelmingly large and full of things she no longer used or needed. She made a radical decision. She sold her house and moved into a much smaller space, a tiny apartment downtown. Moving meant Martha had to make some hard decisions about what to keep and what to let go of. She simply couldn't take everything with her. At first, she told me it felt almost impossible. She had accumulated so much over the decades, boxes of photos and papers she hadn't looked at in years, kitchen appliances still in their boxes, closets stuffed with clothes that no longer fit her lifestyle. She even found 3 duplicate coffee makers. But as she started the process of letting go, something remarkable happened. She began to feel lighter. She said it was as if she wasn't just shedding material things, but emotional weight too. The memories tied to some items remained, but the physical burden of storing and maintaining them was gone. Moving into that smaller apartment, taking only what she truly needed and loved, gave her a sense of freedom she hadn't felt in years. She described it feeling like a huge burden had been lifted from her shoulders. Even if you're not planning a big move or downsizing drastically, I truly encourage you to try this process in your own home. Go through your kitchen cabinets, your hall closets, that corner of the basement. or garage. Get rid of the things you no longer need use or love. Donate them, give them away to family, or sell them. Don't hold on to things out of habit or a vague sense of obligation. You might be amazed at how much better you'll feel with less stuff weighing you down. Simplifying your physical surroundings has a powerful way of simplifying your mind, too. Embracing the system with caution. Now, I'm certainly not against the economic system we live in. In fact, capitalism at its core works pretty well for the most part. Businesses create goods and services that can genuinely make our lives easier and more comfortable, and in return, they earn a profit. That exchange is fair if someone bakes a delicious loaf of artisan bread and sells it to me for a little more than the cost of the ingredients. I'm happy with that. They've done the hard work, and I'm glad to pay for the convenience and quality. But the problem, as I see it from years of watching trends in human behavior, arises when the balance tips too far. When we start consuming not out of need or even genuine desire for something specific, but just for the sake of consuming. The beauty of a competitive system is supposed to be that it drives prices down and quality up. If one company charges too much, another competitor is supposed to come along and offer a better deal. However, the downside is that we can easily get trapped in a perpetual cycle of buying more and more, always chasing the next product, the next fleeting trend, the next temporary pleasure. As we get older, many of us realize that the things we thought we needed weren't really necessary at all for a truly good life. Life isn't ultimately about having the newest phone every year or the fanciest brand name clothes. It's about shared experiences, deep relationships, moments of quiet joy, and meaningful reflection. The system is there, yes, but we don't have to be completely defined by its most superficial demands. We can engage with it thoughtfully, choosing what truly adds value to our lives, living simply in a complex world. Choosing to live a slow, less materialistic life in today's world often means going against the prevailing current. Most people around us seem caught up in the constant hum of consumer culture. They're always on the go, always browse online or in stores, always thinking about the next purchase, always chasing something new. If you choose to consciously step off that particular treadmill, you'll definitely find yourself in the minority. But being in the minority doesn't have to be a negative thing. In fact, it can be quite beautiful and freeing. When you choose to live more simply without the constant internal or external pressure for more possessions, you begin to see life through a different lens. You start noticing things that perhaps went completely unnoticed before, things that were always there but were obscured by the noise and distraction of consumption. Maybe it's the gentle rustle of leaves in the breeze outside your window, the simple warmth of the afternoon sun on your skin as you sit on your porch, or the quiet moments of reflection that bring a deep sense of peace and contentment. These aren't things you can buy, and yet they offer a richness and depth to life that money simply cannot provide. Living simply doesn't mean you're depriving yourself or living a life of austerity. Not at all. It means being intentional with your choices, focusing your time, energy, and resources on what genuinely brings you lasting joy and fulfillment, and letting go of the rest. It's about slowing down enough to truly appreciate the life you already have, rather than always striving endlessly for a life you're told you're supposed to need. Yes, you might feel like a bit of an outsider at first. Your friends and even your family might not fully understand your choice to live more minimally or differently. They might still be caught up in the race, but over time, the profound peace you gain from slowing down and consuming less will far outweigh any initial discomfort or feeling of being different. You'll discover that the simple life, while perhaps unconventional by today's standards, is a powerful path toward greater personal fulfillment and deeper, more stable happiness. Appreciating the little things, As we age, it's fascinating how the things that bring us the most joy often become simpler and more accessible. The grand, elaborate experiences we might have chased in our younger years, exotic vacations, expensive outings, may no longer hold the same compelling allure. Instead, we find genuine happiness in the little things, the everyday moments that, in our youth, we may have overlooked or taken completely for granted. Think about the quiet pleasure of sipping a cup of coffee or tea on your patio on a cool morning, just watching the world wake up. Consider the deep contentment of simply spending unhurried time with loved ones, sharing stories and laughter, or the simple joy of watching the birds at your feeder or noticing a new flower bloom in your garden. These small, often free moments become the true treasures of life as we mature. That's the real beauty of slow living. When you're no longer caught up in the whirlwind of needing to earn more, to buy more, to impress more, you begin to truly see the immense value in things that don't have a price tag. Maybe you'll finally start that small vegetable garden you've always dreamed of. Perhaps you'll pick up a book you've been meaning to read for years, or revisit a hobby you loved, but never had enough time for, like knitting, woodworking, painting, or playing a musical instrument. The point is, when you remove the constant distractions and demands of consumption, you create precious space in your life. Space for these simple, deeply rewarding joys that can sustain you far longer and more meaningfully than any material possession ever could. Resisting the pull of consumerism. Let's be honest with each other, the pull of consumerism is incredibly strong. Even after you've made the conscious decision to embrace a slower, simpler life, you will still face temptations. It's easy to get caught up in the allure of sales flyers that arrive in the mail persuasive advertisements you see on TV or online, or even just that momentary urge to buy something new. Because it feels good in the moment, a little pick me up. How many of us have logged onto a website maybe just to check an email or look something up, not needing anything specific, but ended up browse through items adding things to a virtual cart? That's the clever seduction of modern consumerism at work. It convinces us often subtly that we need things we really don't, or that buying something will solve an underlying feeling. And before we know it, we've filled our carts with items that bring only a brief temporary satisfaction, often followed by buyer's remorse or just more clutter. But here's the truly good news. The more you practice resisting these urges, the easier and more automatic it becomes. Like building any new habit, it takes conscious effort at first to break the cycle of mindless spending and impulse buying. Start small. Maybe try to go just one day without making any non-essential purchases. Then extend it to 2 days, then a week. Over time, you'll find that the intense desire to constantly consume begins to fade. You'll start feeling more content and peaceful with what you already have, recognizing its sufficiency, filling the void with meaningful activities. When you intentionally stop spending so much time, energy, and money on acquiring things, you'll inevitably notice that you have more space in your life. This is true both literally fewer things, taking up room, and figuratively more free time and mental energy. What will you do with all that newfound space? The possibilities are truly endless. And this is where the joy of slow living really blossoms. The key is to intentionally fill that space with activities that bring genuine meaning, connection, and deep joy to your life. Maybe you'll take up that knitting project again, or start taking regular walks at a local park, connecting with nature and your community. Perhaps you'll finally have more time and energy to spend with your grandchildren, sharing stories from your past, teaching them skills you've learned, and passing on the wisdom you've gained over the years. Or maybe you'll devote more time to a hobby or craft that you've always enjoyed but never had the sustained time or focus to truly pursue. The point is, when you're no longer primarily focused on acquiring things, you free yourself to focus on doing things. Things that nourish your soul. stimulate your mind, connect you with others, and bring you a much deeper, more sustainable sense of fulfillment. You'll find that these activities, while often simple and inexpensive, are incredibly rewarding in ways that shopping never could be. And best of all, they don't require you to constantly open your wallet. The challenges of living differently. Living a slow, simple life in today's fast paced, consumer driven world isn't always easy. It's important to acknowledge that you will encounter challenges not just from others who might not understand your choices, but also from within yourself. We've all spent decades influenced by countless messages believing that success, happiness, and social acceptance are tied to what we own, how busy we are, and how much we consume. It can be genuinely hard to let go of that ingrained belief system. Society pushes a narrative of constant consumption because, frankly, it benefits powerful industries and those who profit from them. The more we spend, the more the economy as currently structured grows and the more wealth accumulates at the top. Choosing to consciously step outside of that system, or at least significantly reduce your participation in it, means going against the grain. And yes, that can feel uncomfortable or isolating at times. You may feel misunderstood or out of sync, especially when you see friends or family members continuing to live in a way that no longer resonates with you or feels right for your stage of life. But please take heart. This discomfort is usually temporary and lessens over time. The rewards of living a simpler, more intentional life are truly profound and long-lasting. Over time, you'll find that the external pressures of society and advertising have less and less of a hold on you. You'll find a deep and abiding peace in knowing that you are living a life that is authentic to your values and needs, not one dictated by external forces. The journey towards slow living isn't always the easiest path, but countless seniors I've spoken with agree it is absolutely worth it. Financial freedom through simplicity. One of the most significant and tangible advantages of embracing a slower, less consumer-focused life is the financial freedom it can bring. This is especially important for those of us living on fixed incomes or planning for retirement. When you stop buying things you don't actually need, you naturally start saving money. That saved money can be used for the things that truly, genuinely matter to you. Whether it's being able to travel to visit family, more often investing in your health and well-being, like a gym membership, healthy food, or necessary treatments, pursuing a lifelong learning opportunity, or simply building a more substantial cushion for peace of mind as you get older. The options are far more meaningful than accumulating more stuff. Living simply significantly reduces the financial pressure many of us feel as we age. Instead of feeling like you constantly have to work harder or worry about maintaining a lifestyle built on ongoing consumption and debt, you can shift your focus. You can concentrate on enjoying the fruits of your life's labor, finding contentment in your current circumstances, and spending your resources on experiences and connections rather than just acquiring more things. You might even find that you need less income than you previously thought to live a comfortable, fulfilling, and truly happy life. This financial ease contributes directly to reduced stress and increased peace of mind. Reflection on life's journey. As we grow older, reflecting on our life's journey naturally becomes a more prominent part of our days. We look back on the choices we've made, the experiences we've had, the relationships we've built, and the lessons we've learned along the way. Choosing to live a slow, simple, and less cluttered life gives us the necessary time and mental space to engage in this kind of meaningful reflection. When I hear stories from people who have embraced this lifestyle, they rarely express regret about the things they didn't buy or the fleeting trends they didn't follow. What they cherish, what brings a smile to their face, are the moments spent deeply connected with loved ones, The experiences of quiet joy discovered in the everyday and the deep sense of peace that comes from living in alignment with their core values, not society's expectations. Mistakes. Of course, everyone makes them along the way. That's part of the human experience. But the path of intentional, slower, less materialistic living brings a level of enduring contentment that no amount of possessions ever could reflection becomes a source of strength and gratitude, not regret over what was missed in the pursuit of more, leaving a legacy of simplicity. Finally, as we approach and live through the later stages of life, many of us begin to think more intentionally about the legacy we will leave behind. What do we truly want to be remembered for by our children, grandchildren, and community? For many who embrace the slow life, it's not about leaving behind material wealth, a house full of valuable objects, or impressive collections of things. Instead, it's about leaving behind the values they lived by simplicity, mindfulness, gratitude, kindness, and a deep appreciation for the things that truly matter: relationships, experiences, character, and inner peace. The hope is that their children and grandchildren will learn from their example, not from the things they owned, but from the way they chose to live their life. The hope is that they will see that enduring happiness doesn't come from having more stuff, but from appreciating the simple joys of life, connecting deeply with others, and cultivating inner contentment. And the hope is that they will carry that valuable lesson forward, finding their own authentic paths to peace and fulfillment, just as we have found ours. A legacy of living well, simply and meaningfully, is perhaps the most precious gift we can pass on, prioritizing health and well-being in the slow life. As we age, our health and overall well-being naturally become one of the most critically important aspects of our lives. In a world that often relentlessly prioritizes productivity, endless activity, and material success over our physical and mental health, it's incredibly easy to forget to take proper care of ourselves. Living a slow life fundamentally encourages and enables us to focus more intentionally on our health, both mental and physical. By consciously making space in our days and weeks for rest, for self-care activities that nourish us, and for quiet moments of mindfulness and reflection, we prioritize what truly matters. When we slow down the external pace, we give ourselves the time and opportunity to truly listen to our bodies. We start to recognize the subtle signals when we genuinely need rest versus pushing through fatigue when our bodies crave movement, and when we need to nourish ourselves with healthy food, positive social interactions, and uplifting experiences. This heightened self-awareness is a profound, understated benefit of slow living. Instead of feeling constantly pushed and pulled by external pressures, whether it's keeping up with a packed social schedule centered around spending or exhausting ourselves, trying to accumulate more things, we can deliberately shift our energy. We can focus on staying active in ways we enjoy, preparing and eating wholesome foods, getting enough restorative sleep, and nurturing our mental and emotional well-being through quiet hobbies, time in nature, and meaningful connections. For many, this shift to a slower pace also naturally leads to a deeper connection with the natural world around them. Whether it's taking regular unhurried walks in a local park, or nature trail, tending to a garden, or simply sitting outside to feel the sun and the breeze, connecting with nature has immense scientifically proven benefits for our health. Studies have shown that spending time outdoors reduces stress hormones, can lower blood pressure, and significantly improves mental clarity and mood. In a slow life, health is not an afterthought squeezed into a busy schedule. It is a fundamental priority around which life is built, and with less pressure to constantly keep up with the frantic pace of modern life, we have the time, energy, and presence of mind to focus on the most important thing of all, our health and well-being. By caring for ourselves in this gentle, intentional way, we can enjoy a higher quality of life feeling better and more capable both right now and in the years ahead. Conclusion: the joy of slow living. Choosing to live a slow life, spending less, and finding peace and contentment in simplicity is, I won't pretend otherwise, not always the easiest or most conventional path in our society today, but based on my observations and the shared experiences of many thriving older adults, it is undeniably one of the most rewarding. It provides us with the invaluable opportunity to step away from the relentless pressure to consume and instead focus our precious time and energy on the things that genuinely deeply matter: relationships, meaningful experiences, personal growth, and cultivating a quiet, stable inner peace. For those of us in the later stages of life, this approach offers a profound chance to reflect on what is most important, to let go of the unnecessary burdens, physical, financial, and emotional, and to live each day with the sense of contentment, purpose, and fulfillment that possessions simply cannot buy. It is a journey truly worth taking, and one that I wholeheartedly invite you to consider exploring for yourself. Here is a valuable practical life lesson I've seen proven time and again. Your greatest wealth isn't measured by what you own, but by the richness of your time, the depth of your peace, and the strength of your connections. Embrace the slow life and invest in these true treasures. Thank you for taking the time to consider these ideas. If you found these thoughts inspiring or helpful, please let me know by commenting below. I love hearing your perspectives and experiences. And if you'd like more insights on living well in your golden years, please consider subscribing. Your engagement means a lot.